person loves. Because there's so many different feels about all the different characters.
All of the feels.
I do think, though, that the one thing that's kind of being universally disliked is the way they treated ScarJo, Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow.
So, yeah, this is a huge topic on the internet, and I know I was talking to one of our fellow podcasters, Adam Hodgins, about this. There's a Gizmodo article that breaks down the problem with all of the women. I agree with about half of it in there, but the Black Widow stuff really, this is one of the cases where the writers have reacted to the sentiments from the fans about killing her, and they think they did something important and it was justified, and it would have been so melodramatic, though, if we killed Clint because he has a family. That's a terrible thing to say in response, and they said that she went through all these awful things and this was fulfilling for her, and I just don't agree.
Yeah. I was talking with DJ today, too, and this may be controversial, but of all the actors, I feel like ScarJo is probably one of the best of the core, just acting.
Oh, yeah, when she was sitting there crying at the desk and...
She's making peanut butter sandwiches. Good. I mean, you just think about her filmography. She's just been crushing it for years. And I don't know, I just think she's been game since Iron Man 2, but her character's never had the thing. So this time she's finally in charge. While Steve is out crying, while Thor's getting drunk, right? While Hulk is... just being Hulk and eating breakfast and signing autographs. Who else is the core? Who are the other core? Hawkeye's out murdering people. He's become Ronin.
Yeah, and because they don't undo the past, they just undo the snap. They don't undo all the murder he committed. I mean, he went through... I thought about that just earlier today, how they don't undo any of that. So all those criminals he killed are still dead.
They're going to want to find... And the people who know them are going to want to find him.
Now they're going to go after his family. Yeah. So thanks, Dad.
Yeah. But so she's the one who's... you see with the video screens with Rocket, with Okoye, with Marvel, and there's one more person there that was there, Rhodey. She's actually running the Avengers. She's keeping the world kind of safe. I like with Okoye, though, they were like, she was like, well, there's an earthquake underneath the Pacific. What do we do? And Okoye's like, just let it happen because it's an earthquake and there's plates
shifting. Of seismic plates.
But she's the one who's leading the Avengers.
Yes, she was being the leader. And I saw one of the biggest complaints out there was that in the absence of Tony and Cap, she is the natural next person as a leader because she has the most experience in the Avengers. And that would have felt very satisfying, especially as a woman and not having that kind of representation. Wonder Woman's the only film that's really done that.
Yeah.
So far, having a woman who's emotional and a leader and that being okay. Brie Larson sort of does it in Captain Marvel. I like the movie Captain Marvel. I don't really connect with her story. She's a little bit too dispassionate, even though everyone calls her too emotional.
Yeah.
But...
she's busy saving the universe. Yeah, so you can't really focus...
She's busy.
Yeah.
She ain't got time for that.
She doesn't even need a team just because what team could roll with her?
Yeah, she's so powerful. And her whole point was, listen, the universe doesn't have an Avengers.
Yeah.
They've got me. Or the multiverse, whatever you want to call it.
But, yeah, so I mean...
And she was treated so unevenly across all the films. So every different director you bring in, she had a different feel. She was the quasi-love interest in Captain America Winter Soldier. She was... the Gizmodo article made a point of how she was always ferrying people around. She was literally moving the plot along.
And then Ultron, she was like, I'm sterile. So I'm like, I can't create. I'm like a monster. Just like you. And you're like, what? Joss Whedon.
Fans are...
Joss Whedon can normally write characters like Buffy, and he normally handles female characters well, but I don't know what he was going with on that one.
It's just she wasn't treated well. She was bounced around as possible love interest for people constantly. And she's such a good actress. It feels like they just didn't try that hard with her, and she's never really seemed to show it in any of the...
She's the one that wanted them all to get tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I liked the comment they made that the only arc she had was the one her body made as she hit the ground and died.
Oh, brother. That article got angry, right?
It towards the end it did, but this was in the beginning when they still had valid points, and I think all of their points about Black Widow were pretty valid. And it was so... It was a disconnect for me. I loved that scene at the final battle, when all the ladies were popping in together, and their take on the battle was, oh, it was so short. It didn't represent the ladies long enough. Whatever. We got our moment.
But there's 70 characters.
And I liked it. I liked them all because I love most of the women characters. Not all of them, but most of them. And they got an awesome moment. But you know what? She wasn't there. Even 2014 Gamora was there, who they managed to somehow resurrect from a timeline. But not...
She's like Penny from the Magicians from another timeline.
But not Black Widow. It's just...
Yeah. They could have gone and brought her back. But I guess I know we're kind of digging into some complaints, but that final battle was epic. It felt great, and it had a good humor. It had thrills, chills. I think it was fun. I enjoyed it. What did you think about the final battle?
I did like how they set it up with the 3 main Avengers going after Thanos at first and not being able to get it done.
Yeah.
And then they got everybody else, and it took the full team effort to bring him down. And he thought he was, I've got the Endgame, I've got this army here, and then all of a sudden they're opening up the time portals, and people are coming through. And that was great.
I love when poor Wong brings everybody to the battle. and then Doctor Strange, like, is that it? And he's like, you want more?
Did you wanted more?
And then when Thanos pulled a punk-ass move and he was getting beat up by Scarlet Witch and he had the ships fire, all the magicians saved everyone by making those shields.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was a sweet move. I mean, that was a cool... And then Doctor Strange and Tony had their moment when he put up his finger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about Iron Man's arc in this? From kind of going from near starving to yelling at Cap about how Cap tore them all apart. Right?
Okay, my feelings on that were, yes, thank you. That is what I have been feeling ever since Civil War. I always felt, the whole Civil War thing is a bunch of BS.
Yeah, Baron Zemo he was...
It was, like they highlighted at the beginning of Infinity War, why are you guys fighting? This is stupid. We have a world to save.
Yeah, didn't Hulk go, you're not calling him because you two had a falling out?
But I did like that Iron Man finally got to call him out and tell him he was wrong. Now, were they both wrong at some point? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Cap never has owned his wrongness. It's just, I'm justified, I'm right.
I did what I do because I do what I do.
Because I have America's ass.
That was a great bit. Wait.
I did like in this movie that he acknowledges that he's kind of sick of his persona.
Yeah, I laughed really hard. So, I want to stay with Iron Man or do you want to bounce around? Or want to move the Cap? So I do like that scene, though, where they're doing the time heist, the hot tub time heist. And he has to battle his old self, and then he knocks his old self. Oh, his old self, I can do this all day. And then old Steve Rogers goes, yeah, I know. Like, that's funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love that he acknowledged that he's sick of that persona.
And then he knocked out himself. That is America's ass.
So this is something I wanted to talk about, the Cap ending. And that's part of it. And I've talked to this with a couple of people, talked it through, seen some articles, but for him to achieve that ending, there's a certain degree of selfishness we never saw before, but I think that there were hints at it throughout this movie. He swears.
Yeah.
He says America's ass.
He's going off the
indicates that he's sick of his old persona.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he does have to be a sort of selfish in order to stay in the past, and you realize that he has to live through all of these really disturbing events. S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. He has to live through, what did he go back to, the 40s? He has to live through World War II, potentially, Vietnam. He has to live through the JFK assassination. He has to live through all kinds of world events that are horrible and not do anything.
Yeah.
Knowing that he can't make an impact because it'll change history forever.
In another timeline, right?
No, if he had acted... Okay, so this is where it's very... I feel like they went yada, yada, yada on him going back to the past.
But you can't change the past, though. So when he went back,
he couldn't... I mean.
Oh, okay.
So if he did something to change the past, there would be a divergent timeline. The whole thing was he was trying to preserve that. That's what the Ancient One said. So he couldn't... He had to sit by idly.
But he had to.
Yeah, he had to. Because he wanted to go back and be with Peggy.
Was there another Cap in that timeline?
Yes, there would have.
So then that other Cap was taking care of it. He was just making.
No, the other Cap wasn't. He was never involved in that stuff. He was frozen.
Oh yeah. Well, he was having fun with Peggy. Peggy's great.
So here's a question: do we not remember that Peggy had a family?
Did she? Well, no, a secret husband who you never meet.
Yes, I saw that theory, but it's moot because they had kids.
Yeah, but it could have been with Steve.
Yeah,
and
but
he's
it doesn't
a secret.
work. That means he would have altered the past if he went back. It doesn't work like that.
Oh, jeez Louise.
I know.
So he just lived like Obi-Wan Kenobi in the desert somewhere after he got his dance?
But no, I don't know. That's the whole thing. I feel so strongly that they just yada, yada, yada the end with Steve. And that does such a disservice to such a detailed movie.
Yeah.
How the heck did he put back the stones? So I saw a really good article talking about this, saying he would have had to put them back not as a stone, but in the form that they were in. So like the Loki one had to go back into his staff. The Tesseract had to be a box again. But the way he took them back, they were stones.
Well, it definitely worked, so that's good. I'm hoping that the way he returned them was like a mixture between Hurricane Heist and Hot Tub Time Machine. I mean, would you watch that movie?
Oh, I would definitely watch that
So
movie.
you would watch a movie with Steve Rogers in a hot tub during a hurricane, stopping banks being robbed with Lost.
Put it that way.
And then returning them at random. Would you watch that movie?
Maybe if they were in like the ski suits that they were in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh, I like that. And then Sebastian Stan is in Hot Tub Time Machine, so you have his best friend Chet.
And he's being funny in that movie, which I like that version of Sebastian Stan.
So let's go write the spec script. When we come back, we'll talk more Avengers. Alright, so I know we're supposed to be talking about the core Avengers here, but I love Ant-Man's arc. And I love that what brings Ant-Man back is a rat that steps on his machine. He pops back in, and then one of the Community cameos, Ken Jeong, pops up and lets him out, and then he walks away with a cart with the gear that he has.
Oh, it's a cute little wagon that has all this stuff piled on it, and it's a box labeled Lang Clothes.
I love it. And then he goes and meets his daughter, who is aged 6 years.
I'm a little bit sad, though, that we lose the girl who played his daughter in Ant-Man, because she was just adorable.
Yeah, she was adorable. So that means we don't get her anymore.
I know.
There's no way to do flashbacks either, because those 5 years are gone.
Yeah, they're gone. I guess she's the new actress.
But if you think about, well, that girl, so I guess Ant-Man was made last year. Another Ant-Man probably wouldn't come out for 3 years, so she's a little older. So I guess this kind of does things for them. So the people who come back after the snap, are they 5 years older?
Oh, maybe? No, wait, didn't Peter say it didn't last that long?
Yeah, he was in there for about 5 minutes.
He just kind of a rambling sort of discussion of what happened while they were there.
Yeah, it's kind of hung out. And then he pops back. And then Tony's all sad.
Oh, I know. It was so nice to see that. Oh, the applause in our theater when Spider-Man popped back on screen. Yeah, that was big.
I think the biggest applauses were what? Black Panther and Shuri, right?
I think Spider-Man got the biggest.
I was building up. Yeah, so them, and then Spider-Man by far. And then people just got tired of clapping. I think I was the only one in the theater.
They sort of did, yeah. There were points later where you would have thought it would be good for a clap, and people just
I clapped when Valkyrie came out, and I was like, yeah, and no one else did. I was like, I think people just got clap fatigue.
She's awesome.
But Spider-Man was fun in this. I liked his suit function with the kill switch. Mm-hmm. He was murdering people. Yeah, Spider-Man kills people.
The spider legs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bad guy demons from another realm, and the rest of them got dusted anyway.
What are they? Thanos' minions.
Thanos' minions?
Are they just like bred warriors? Like do they think? They don't really think. They're more like animals.
Yeah, they were more monstery.
They get like honey badgers.
Mm-hmm. And then they genetically mutate them.
Genetically mutated honey badger?
Mm-hmm. And they put some space genes in there.
That sounds terrible.
Hey, you mentioned Community. Did you see the Community reunion across all the movies?
Yeah, so you had, Abed was in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Danny Pudi was in Winter Soldier. Yvette Nicole Brown was in this movie in the 1970 flashback. And Ken Jeong.
With my favorite line. I think my favorite line in the movie when they're talking about Tony Stark's hippie mustache. You're like, BGs or Mungo Jerry? Definitely Mungo Jerry. That was a great bit.
Jim Rash was in Captain America Civil War.
Oh, really?
And Donald Glover was in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, that was funny. He had ice cream in his bag and he got his hand.
All the Community love.
Just no Chevy Chase.
They should have done a Blanket Fort and Pillow Town reference.
There's no Starburns.
Oh, gosh. No, I'm more upset that there's no Annie.
Allison Brie. Mm-hmm. That would have been too confusing. You can't have Allison Brie and Brie Larson on the same... It's like having Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman.
You can't have them.
That would be really confusing.
Allison Brie forever.
You want to hear a pretentious tidbit, Megan?
Yes.
So I was on the set of $1 Million Arm, and Bill Paxton was working on it, and I was filling in for First Team, and so I was running around with him, and he was telling me that Funny or Die wanted to do a Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman skit, but they decided not to do it because it would just perpetuate that more. So the Allison Brie Larson thing.
That's cheeky.
What do you think?
Yeah, but it's because is it because their names are similar or because they look alike?
Who?